Hello and welcome to Central Georgia Focus, the Ask Mayor Miller year-end edition. I'm your host, Liz Fabian from the Reg Murphy Center for Collaborative Journalism. You know, each month we sit down with Macon-Bibb County Mayor Lester Miller, ask your questions and questions from our journalists and the general public as well. But this time we're also going to be looking back at 2023 and looking ahead to 2024. So thank you for joining us, Mr. Mayor. You know, people are talking, there was a story recently about the 2022 crime statistics that show Macon has the highest crime rate per capita in the state. What do you have to say about that? And can you tell us what has happened in the past year by comparison?
Well, first of all, I'll tell people that this alleged study was conducted by a personal injury law firm in Atlanta, Georgia. We reached out to them personally ourselves to find out why they did this. And they claimed they didn't even know they did anything, participate in any kind of survey. But it's paid advertising, as far as I can see. They pulled some things from 2018 to 2022, some in 2022. You know, they basically are trying to promote their law firm. They do a lot of victims, you know, maybe filing suit against people, victims of crimes and things like that. So I could generate one myself today and call it some kind of study, so I wouldn't put a lot of weight in it. More importantly, it's not current. It's outdated. By the time you get these statistics in, they're years outdated. So in the last year, Bibb County's crime is actually down. Overall crime's down about 12%. Homicides are down about 47% the last time we checked. So things are moving in the right direction, but if you're a victim of crime, it's 100% to you, right? So the sheriff always says that, and I kind of agree with that aspect of it. So I don't buy into articles that are paid advertisements by law firms that are personal injury lawyers. So certainly something we shouldn't put a lot of credibility or weight in there. I was glad to see that it was posted at one particular site and the media realized that it was kind of that clickbait and pulled it right down. So one of the other media didn't quite do that yet, but certainly if they looked at the source, they would.
Well, that kind of reminds me, I did a story and it was another thing that came out, personal injury firm, we got it, and it was talking about the most dangerous road in Macon-Bibb County, and they said it was Houston Road. And I was like, wait a minute, you know, because I covered fatality after fatality, and I was like, turned out that they were considering Houston Road all the way that we consider Houston Road, plus all the way down 247, like to 75, because, you know, we don't think about it like that. So, I mean, that was another one of those cases that, and they were comparing apples to oranges, and it just wasn't right.
Certainly not a reliable source. And what I'll say is that people are so quick to look at something bad that's published and agree that everything's 100% true. But we get named the top place in New York Times and the Washington Post and all this, then people are like, oh, this can't be true. This is Macon-Bibb County. So I just take it with a grain of salt, and it's not reliable information. We're more concerned about what we're doing now and what we're going to do in the future.
Well, looking back on 2023, what is your biggest frustration when it comes to crime?
I'm not sure about the frustration. We continue to talk about, you know, the being held accountable as a government for every action the sheriff does or does not do. It's very difficult. It's frustrating for commissioners in particular when I talk with them. People want to hold you accountable for something you have absolutely no control over there. So that continues to be a frustration. I think we're working through some of those issues. Certainly there'll be a lot of jail talk in the future, but I think that's probably the most, you know, the biggest thing there. But people were so hot and heavy a couple of years ago when we had almost 70 homicides in Macon-Bibb County, and now we're in the 30s, you know, maybe close to 40, but that's a substantial decrease, one of the largest decreases in our state, but nobody's talking about it now. And they were counting those numbers before, but now they're not counting them down. So that's what can be frustrating about the perception that we have in Bibb County, but crime is certainly decreasing.
And that perception can hurt things like the amphitheater and the pickleball facility and stuff like that. So how do you counteract that message?
Well, we hope that we have reliable news sources that put out the positive too and not just put out the clickbait. So what we do is try to make sure that our hub contains all the good information. We put our own good information out there, which is what we're living each and every day. So I think you counteract it by changing the mindsets of people, making them feel more safe and secure, which they are in some of these places, and making sure that we have good news that outweighs the bad news that is out there that people. Plus, you got to look at the people that are promoting this bad news. Is usually people who are left Macon-Bibb County or not part of our community, and they like nothing more to see Macon-Bibb County, you know, fall by the wayside.
Looking back on the year, how has technology assisted things like ShotSpotter and surveillance cameras?
In a big way. I think technology is going to be a way of the future. Sheriff got the grant from the state for the flock cameras. They're coming out. I see them going out all over the place. Solved a couple of crimes. As you'll heard about the escape that we had there at the jail, it helped solve some of those crimes. Technology was a key to a lot of that. whether it's online security cameras, the flock cameras. It's going to be the wave of the future. ShotSpotter's doing really well. The cameras downtown are doing well. Some new things that we have on the upcoming horizon are going to be doing well technology-wise. So it's going to continue to be a vital part of our public safety initiative.
And looking ahead, I know you've already mentioned that you're going to be getting some ATVs for patrolling downtown, also maybe even some private security. Is there anything you can share about further crime measures that are going forward?
Well, if you look on our agenda tonight, or this week, you'll see that we've got some Knox boxes that we're buying for all the school systems. These are so you can get into the schools if there's an emergency situation by fire and police. More cameras are on the horizon there that work successfully downtown. We're going to expand that. We're purchasing ATVs, which gives you more foot patrols out there, and you can cover a large area and those nicks and crannies you can't get to, but also do some community policing types. We're also going to see some more lights and things like that in the school districts. But I think we can continue to expand the flock cameras as well and use all the technology we can to make our public safety better. So,
what's the latest with your Macon Violence Prevention Program, and do you see funding for a lot of those activities going forward?
Oh, most definitely. The cream rise to the top and all those good programs that have been very successful, we're going to continue to look for ways to sustain them. I can't say it now, but this time next month, we'll look in January. I think you're going to hear a lot more about MVP on the state level, and we're very excited about some upcoming news on that.
And you actually recently went and spoke to your colleagues around the state about what's going on with that program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, out of 527 cities in the state of Georgia, Macon is leading the effort in a lot of those issues, and people are going to us for the best practices because of the way we have decreased things over the last couple of years. We thought this MVP is going to take 10 years to start creating some results. In less than 2 years, it's already making a huge impact. People are starting to see that we need police, but police is not the only thing that can help solve some of these issues, so we need to get to those root causes. And I think we're doing a good job of that with these community foundations and other types of events we got going on.
Do you think we're now adequately staffed when it comes to public safety personnel?
Well, I'm not sure if you can ever be adequately staffed. I mean, once you get fully staffed, you can start doing more community-based policing, which we like. You're still going to have your challenges. Everybody does in every single community across the United States, and it's just not the go-to brotherhood it used to be in the past, where everybody wants to be an officer. And of course, you want to go home, and you're not guaranteed to go home as a deputy each and every night, and that's something, a lot more opportunities out there than just being deputies these days. So we're trying to build it back up. We've hired 240 officers over the last year and a half, 2 years. But the sheriff has to decide where those officers may go and what their duties and responsibilities are going to be. And we're going to continue to do that and also stop the officers from leaving like we did with the retention pay.
And what do you see on the horizon as far as the Bibb County Jail is concerned?
Well, I think we're definitely going to be building a new jail. The question is when, where, and how much it's going to cost. Whether we're going to use SPLOST proceeds for that or tax dollars for that. And I've made no secret about it. We wanted to use SPLOST proceeds, which is a just continuation of the 1 penny that should come up in 2025, and we'll get input from the public. But I can tell you behind the scenes, I've been working on this about a year and a half, and I think we got some pretty good leads about where it's going to be. Right now, we're going to look at the size and the opportunity it's going to take to get things done.
Do you think the plan will be to move out of downtown, or will the sheriff still have a presence around that property? But if not, what do you foresee happening with that development?
Well, my preference is to move it out of downtown, specifically the area that it's in now. That could be used for many purposes, but I do believe that we'll make a decision in the next year ahead of the SPLOST, and that property will be used for other developments, I'm sure, but the jail should be moving out of downtown.
All right, well, when we come back, we'll talk more about prospective development in Macon-Bibb County, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Central Georgia Focus, the Ask Mayor Miller 2023 look back and 2024 look ahead. Mr. Mayor, tell us, what do you think has been some of your big highlights of 2023?
2023 has a lot to look back on. I can always think about the pickleball and the amphitheater, think about the East Bank development that we're beginning out there. Paving roads, I think a lot of times people want those roads paved. Believe it or not, we've been paving roads all the time, and I think people are starting finally to notice that. That's why we've done a little promotion on that. We're going to continue to pave a lot of roads leading into 2024. It's going to be one of the top initiatives. And of course, the blight continues to be, we're hitting those numbers. We're like 625 now, 630, something like that. We're going to continue that process, and then we're going to look forward to start building some things in the very near future with our affordable housing fund. So I think those are some of the top priorities. Of course, crime has decreased this year. We're excited about that. Continue focus on that for next year. But the paving the roads is going to be a big deal. We're going to spend a lot of money on that. We designated 5 times as much money to pave roads, and people have told us that's what they want us to do. We want to clean these blighted houses up, help public safety, pave these roads, and look for economic development. And we've had some great economic development this year.
And what are you most looking forward to in 2024?
2024, if I had to do my Christmas list now, what I would want from Santa would be the 64th National Park in the United States. I'm looking forward to hopefully in January or February having a bill out there that people can vote on, get this thing behind us. We're ready to go with our East Bank project. As a matter of fact, we're going to be doing a RFP in the next week for a master developer there for that property. And hopefully that's going to coincide with some type of an announcement coming up in the next 30, 60 days. So that's what I'm looking forward to for 2024, along with the many other projects that we have going on. The Macon Health Club project there, some hotels coming downtown, the Cliffview Lake property. We got it on the calendar tonight for approval for several things there. That'll be completed by the summer of next year. So we have lots on the horizon to be proud of, and we're looking forward for a lot of great things. The airport too. I don't want to forget about the airport. That's on the way as well.
Well, you were talking about the East Bank development. I just want to make sure y'all understand what the mayor's talking about there is the county bought up acres of land that was part of the old Bibb mill there, right as you're getting off of I-16 at Coliseum Drive. And so there's plans for like $300 to $400 million major development there that kind of hinges on the national park status, right?
I wouldn't say it hinges on it, but we bought 21 acres there for about $14 million. Going to be lots of mixed-use development with some housing, some retail, some restaurants. Going to have a cultural arts center there just outside of what we hope to be the new national park. So a lot of things to engage the whole East Macon area. This is going to be the gateway into East Macon, so you can attract more rooftops there, more restaurants, more activities there for people in East Macon. So we're excited about that. We've been kind of waiting on, as we get closer to the announcement for the national park, but we're in the last days of that, so we're very excited about that project.
You just said rooftop, and it made me think of a rooftop restaurant that you could see the Okmulgee Mountains from. Wouldn't that be cool?
I think you could probably look for a hotel there and that may have a rooftop there facing that direction.
Well, potential development projects seem to be everywhere around downtown as we're looking ahead. And Anthony Marcus thinks that downtown is running out of room. So he said, why not create more high-rise buildings and riverfront development? Your thoughts on that?
Well, you have to look at, there's going to be some riverfront developments very soon. So I think Anthony will be happy to know that coming in 2024, 25, you'll see a couple of river developments on both sides of the river. But we do not run out of room. We're just now at Mid-City. We're at Plum Street, got plenty of way to go all the way to the 2nd Street corridor toward where the jail is and will not be in the very near future. So I think we have plenty of opportunities for expansion there. I'm not sure about high rises. I'm not sure that Macon-Bibb County needs to aesthetically have a bunch of high rises. So we're very satisfied with some of the 3- and 4-story buildings we have, with the Neal projects coming along there on Cherry Street. It's going to be a great addition there. And I think you'll see some new developments on the river property right there where the Transit Authority used to be, and right there where the old Hilton is. I think you'll see some great development there in the very near future. Well,
Anthony had kind of a 3-pronged question. He wanted to know, do you know if New Way Wieners will relocate downtown now that they've closed the store in Mercer Village?
Well, I've talked to Spiro several times. I've even offered to try to open up a franchise at other locations myself, and certainly they've done a wonderful job. He's not getting any younger. I'm not sure if they're going to take on a new venture downtown, but certainly they're making good use of that old property there with Otis Redding Foundation coming out right across all the major development we have coming there. So not sure New Way's coming back downtown, but just go right there to Emory Highway and Gray Highway and you can still enjoy New Way hot dog there.
Anthony also thinks that Highway 247 is an untapped resource, but what can you tell us about what you think that the runway extension will do to that area around Avondale Mill Road?
Well, it may be an untapped resource, but it's not one that's not on our agenda. We have several properties out there.
The tap is in.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been tapped yet.
We just announced Bright Farms out there, which is a huge green place that we can be proud of that grows fresh vegetables and lettuce and things of that nature. The runway extension is coming this next year. Lots and lots of money has been put into that site. We've revealed the guitar shape FBO that's coming, fixed base operation, this next year. New jobs are coming, new hangars are coming, so we're very excited about the possibilities of a new commercial airline coming in that location, and also a new south terminal that we hope to be to help that runway extension out. But also, it will bring that whole area down up into the fact that we get this multi-lane roundabout that everybody's worried about, and certainly that's going to be upcoming very soon as well.
We were talking about East Bank, but what about on the other side of the Coliseum? There's going to be a new entranceway from the new exit on I-16 there at 2nd Street. What else can you tell us about what may happen there, and maybe even across the way to the shopping plaza where the Regional Commission will be leaving to go out to the mall, and River Edge will be leaving to go to their new headquarters? Anything percolating there?
There's always something percolating, Liz. I can't share a whole lot about that. It's been about 75 acres between those 3 tracks. I think you'll see some action in the near future on the East Bank property. Coliseum and the property across the street that used to be the health department is going to hopefully be part of a new initiative we have coming up with the next SPLOST. We'll let the voters decide that, but I think you can see those 75 acres there are going to be really put to use as soon as the interstate is completed there. And across the river by the Burger King and near the dog park there, you're going to see some substantial development there in the very near future as well.
And what are you thinking about, though, when you're saying development? Are you thinking commercial? Are you thinking residential? Are you thinking mixed use? Anything you can, give us a little tidbit?
All of the above. I think it's you're going to have some new restaurants, new retail, new offices, maybe some medical expansion. You got all kind of possibilities there, but certainly we need workforce housing as well, and some new retails. Still look for that downtown grocery. It could be located in one of those areas. So I do think there's some good things that are going to happen. I think it'll probably happen by the summer or fall next year. We'll have a bunch of announcements.
All right, well, still to come, we will delve into transportation and ask the mayor some more of your questions. So stay with us. Thank you for staying with us as we look back on 2023 and look ahead to 2024 with Macon-Bibb County Mayor Lester Miller. Well, Mr. Mayor, we've also had a lot of pedestrian deaths this year, and I know that it's a priority for pedestrian safety. So we've seen the completion of Jeffersonville Road in 2023 and several other road improvements and allocations, like you said, for paving and sidewalks and things like that. But what other pedestrian safety measures are on the horizon, do you think?
Well, I think you'll see a lot of lights coming. There's a lot of good LED lights that will be coming throughout some of the areas, like all the way down Pioneer. It's going to be one of those areas, some better lighting and signage on Emory Highway and Gray Highway, that area as well. Traffic calming devices, potential dividers in the middle of the road, some of the low-hanging fruit. Long term, we've been talking with GDOT about changing some miles per hour on roads, but also some infrastructure. One of the things we're doing for our process now is making sure that we when we have a new project coming along, we automatically think about the pedestrian safety aspect of it. So all the new projects, we incorporate that as we're required to do anyway, and make sure that we don't create any additional problems for the future. But I do think when that study came out we did recently, a lot of that is, some of that's distracted drivers, but a lot of that is also the pedestrians themselves causing a lot of those issues. So better lighting will help that, lower speeds will help that, and different type of infrastructure will help those things and hopefully get people where they need to go safely. But it's going to continue to be a struggle when you have a thriving metropolis like we have here in Bibb County with a lot of highways coming in and out of our community. You're always going to have those situations, but we're going to continue to work on those. I think we're making some headway there.
I think people are being trained to look for people around crosswalks, but particularly around the interstate there at 16, you have people kind of darting in to avoid people turning as they're in the intersection. So I think a lot of it, we all need to do work in that area. Sure. Now, former DOT worker Mark Anderson asks if you have any future plans to enhance Riverside Drive into the pedestrian gateway that was envisioned about 5 years ago. There was $10.5 million design option that was a result of a study commissioned through a Downtown Challenge grant and the Macon Action Plan. So do you see anything happening in that corridor around Rose Hill Cemetery to Spring Street and down toward the Riverwalk area?
Well, I think you'll, once that development we spoke about there from Burger King to that area, that's part of a TAD. And I think you'll see some substantial work done
Tax
there.
allocation district.
Yeah, that's right. So I think that's part of that district there, and I think you'll see some of that money reinvested back into the pedestrian safety, to maybe narrow the lanes down there, slow the speed up there, do some nice landscaping and things like that, and actually be able to divert some things. With the new entrance coming to downtown Macon on 2nd Street, that's going to alleviate some of those concerns right there at Spring Street. And of course, right now we're just waiting for this project to be completed in the downtown part, which is scheduled to be completed in the next couple of years. So that'll allow all this other things just to kind of take its place. And
a tax allocation district is where you take the tax revenue from that area and you put it back in that same area. Same thing over there with East Macon. So anything that comes in from the East Bank development will benefit all of that district.
Right, it has to go. It's required by law for all the new appreciation and value to go directly into that district. So that's what's going to help East Macon about that area there. That's what we're looking forward to.
And we have a question from Bob Schumacher. He says he dreads driving on local streets because the traffic lights don't seem to be synchronized. What do you say?
Well, you have to talk to Nigel Ford about that. I mean, some people say they need to be off in certain areas. Some people say, but if you're going the speed limit, they're synchronized, believe it or not. I mean, we may drive a little bit faster than we're supposed to drive, and you're going to get caught at that red light. If you miss one, you're going to hit the others. But I was coming over here today, and I could look up the lights ahead, and if I maintain the speed limit, which in that particular area was 35 miles an hour, I got all green lights, never got stopped. If I go too fast, I'm going to probably miss one of those. So, you know, we can always be better. So if you got a particular issue, I'd reach out to Nigel Ford with our traffic engineer to determine what areas there. But we have standards that we have to go by with GDOT and other places, and it's best practice. Sometimes they do get behind those, so I'd reach out to him.
Well, Bob also thinks it's time to review all of the intersections where right turn on red is not allowed and where you can only turn left on a green arrow to see if those are still needed. What do you think about that reassessment?
Well, I think you can always look at it. Right now I'm seeing a lot of the yellow arrows, and allows you to
keep
going.
Those. Yes.
I like them, but some people think that they're trying to rush through there and they've got the right of way and don't anticipate the person coming across there. Some of those right turns, you know, the reason they're there where you can't turn red is because it's probably an accident scene. I think about the Wesleyan Drive right there at Wesleyan there, and you look at that road coming out of the school there that you can't turn right on there. And I think that's one of those areas that they learned from previous accidents that happened there. That's why you have the no right turn on red there.
We only have about a minute though, but Shelley Reeder says that her apartment manager refuses to address HVAC and water issues in her apartment, and she tried reaching a building inspector and couldn't. The housing issues prevail, so what should she do?
Well, it really depends on the issue. I would turn if they're getting some type of assistance from the government or these low-income housing, I'd reach out to the Macon Housing Authority or HUD. Also, if they think there's some code enforcement violations, we do get involved in some of that. We can't go on the private property and just basically require them to do certain things, but they're violating our code like trash and water and having faulty wiring and things like that. We can do that. If you think you got mold or something like that, you can call the health department. So I would start with some of those things like code enforcement. I would look at whether they're getting governmental funds and report them to Macon Housing Authority or to HUD if you got issues there. They come up all the time. That's why we're involved in some nuisance allegations and some suits that we have on some of these places. So I will continue to do that.
And of course, we only have 30 seconds now, but 2024 is a re-election year for you. Any thoughts on what's coming ahead?
We're just going to keep doing all the great things that we're doing as a team. You know, I never worry about what's going to happen in the future. We try to look at our actions that we've done and let our actions speak louder than words. So, but we have all of our commission seats coming up. You got 4 that are term limited, so we will have some turnover this year. So you could have 9, you know, potential elected officials there, plus the mayor. So
all right.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens in 2024. Remember, send your questions to mercerccj@gmail.com.